Assalamualaikum and hi, I'm SITI BINTI 263447. Today I'm going to explain about the executive summary where for Ta'an Company. Ta'an is a Malaysia firm, is one of the largest timber of company in Sarawak and has a shameful history in Malaysia of human and environmental rights inequities. An iconic figure is Ta'an Executive Chairman Abdul Hamid Sepawi in Sarawak and renowned for its embedded official corruption. The social and ecological harmful impacts of logging and oil palm plantation being established in Sarawak are well recognized and of enormous proportions.
Assalamualaikum. I will present for the case summary. The case is involving the Ta'an Group and Ta'an Tasmania, which is subsidiary of this group, has been involved in continuous encourage for destruction of Sarawak Unique Forest and encourage openly the operation of Ta'an. This Ta'an Group also is associated with nepotistic business network and intricate political alliances that have led to social ruin and environmental destruction in Sarawak. The close relationship between Tan al-Hodin and Perhin Seri Haji Abdul Taib bin Muhammad Taib, who hold the position as administration of Chief Minister, and which this position, Taib has used him to generate large sum of wealth for his own and his family benefit, and caused Taib has failed to contribute a total of 4.8 billion to state fund of Sarawak in the last 3 years. Therefore, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission has investigated Taib in a connection with corruption allegations relevant to the industry of timber. The Swiss and German government are also investigating the assets of Taib for being found and suspect of being involved money laundering at banks in those countries. Then, Ta'an also have business dealings that contribute to the profit of with STIDC, and the company allow unfair treatment of the native of Sarawak. Ta'an was also linked to the operation of timber that damaged company, for example Samlin and Rimbunai Hijau. In 2010, Samlin was removed from the Norwegian Pension Fund because Samlin was involved in illegal logging systematically and causing major damage to the environment and forest. In addition, Ta'an was involved in a serious encroachment on the land of NCR as outcome of the state government oil palm development scheme. Due to the open neglect of human rights by the state authorities, the indigenous communities around Sarawak demand moratorium on the development of the new farm. The development of Ta'an oil palm involved the transfer of indigenous people from the traditional land. Lastly, although Ta'an has stated many times using sustainable practice, however, the company has been effective operating in areas of peat forest and definitely demonstrate a willingness to sacrifice locally and globally environment at the development of operating of platinum. That's all from me.
My name is Nurul WAHIDAH binti TAKEYU, metric number 263022. I'm going to present about ethical awareness. First, Ta'an is a big company that have sustainable management of forest resources in Sarawak. However, they have some issue in disturbing the environment and human rights abuses in Malaysia, such as brain destruction to indigenous people's land, compromising valuable peat forests, and destroying orangutan habitat in the Malaysian states of Sarawak by has a connection with a corrupt government. Second, inside the oppressive political regime of Sarawak, Executive Chairman of Ta'an Holdings and the company main shareholders Abdul Hamid Sepawi have commercial deals and nepotistic relationships that are directly related to these harmful forest practices and human rights violations in Sarawak. These companies cause for the continued degradation of the unique habitats of Sarawak because they were engaging for this construction, planting and logging activities. Third, Due to being part of direct profiteers of the regime of politics, internationally Ta'an was condemned for its unethical practices. As Minister of Finance, State Planning and Resources, TAEB has controlled development approvals and forestry licenses, includes licenses for logging for his political favours. Political allies and relatives of TAEB are holding about one-third of Sarawak's timber concession that covers 1.6 million hectares. Distributed money between political and business elite of the state, which are close association to the family of TAEB, was generated by logging and oil palm production. 4. Ta'an Tasmanian has a venture funded that profited from environmental degradation and human rights abuses by Ta'an Holding. This is because Ta'an was aligned to a wide channel of nepotistic corporate and government partners in Sarawak, which has presided over social escalation and biodiversity loss in the area. Ta'an's invasion into the forests of Tasmania highlight the main concern for the communities of Tasmanian and Australian governments. 5th, Ta'an holdings have contributed to the disrupt habitat of orangutan in Sarawak. Orangutan is one of the endangered animal species in Sarawak. Therefore, they need to undertake the logging activities in a progressive way in order to allow unique and endangered species move out of the area. Much of the forest area for the clearing process for plantation of timber falls within limits of the WWF Heart of Borneo. 6. Sarawak is occurring the destruction of peatland. This is because tropical peatlands contain huge quantities of carbon that store in a tropical peatland and be the most pressing environmental issues in the world in 2004. The situation was happened because of clearing the trees and drainage by releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. By releasing 40 tons per hectare of carbon dioxide emissions per year, this location incrementally insecure to burning and resulting in gain amounts of gases in the greenhouse. Finally, Tasmanian government has been support this unethical behavior by encourage and give help to Ta'an in Tasmania. Additionally, one of the subsidiary of this group is Ta'an Tasmanian. Therefore, there has been run 2 vinyl factories in the whole valley in Tasmania smitten. The destruction of biological nature of Sarawak was influenced by the direct support from Tasmania government.
Awareness of stakeholders. Ta'an Holding is the famous company that logging indigenous people's lands, destroying orang-utan habitat and compromising valuable peat forests in the state of Sarawak. Ta'an has achieved rapid growth as a result of strong business relationship with corrupt government through highly destructive logging practice. In Sarawak, the ecological, social consequences of logging and cultivation of oil palm plantations are well documented and great. So Ta'an take advantages by presenting itself as a socially and environmentally responsible company. The annual report they submit to Sepawi. Sepawi is the first cousin of Sarawak's Chief Minister Pehi Seri Haji Abdul Taib bin Mahmud Taib and one of the first in line to receive contracts for the companies that Taib controls or influences. Ta'an Holding provided documents pertain to the leasing area. Ta'an's timber leasing areas cover 360,000 hectares, which is more than 300,000 hectares overlapped with plantations leasings. The area owned by Ta'an is the environment that contains important ecological values and home to a number of protected species, including many endangered species that have been listed in the Red List preserved by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. Ta'an pointed out
that the company has implemented several measures reduce environmental destruction. Among the example is the company has started that the method of cultivation is better with reduced deforestation. The company has also emphasized that the contraction zone also the waterway set aside as a wildlife corridor. Logging is avoided in steppe areas and the biologically important areas are protected. The Council did not consider that the area set aside would be done actually fit into function as a sustainable habitat for endangered or extensive species, or what Tan An will do for helps maintain the biodiversity that have been documented in the Lisin area. The Council has concluded that the measure implemented by Tan An to reduce the advises effect influences to ensure the reduction of materials risk to survive environmental damage over time now and in the future. Therefore, the Council recommends the exemption of Tan An Holding Berhad from the realm of GPFG investment.
Hi, my name is NORHAYATI and my metric number is 2637000. And today I want to talk ethical reasoning, which is stakeholder has the strong of ethical agreement. And contains that stakeholder theory give a structure and reasoning to comprehension and clarify why incorporation ethic with arrange and activity in source administration methodology and why firm with record of ethics and the executive may be to be contained with the attention on the medium or long haul estimates by traditional monetary and market side of executions. In short, stakeholder theory tends to issues that the convenience to business supervisor contending in serious business sector remains the extent, however, don't challenge in the essential manner their visions of the obligation as business directors. Understanding why this is the case is significant initial steps to build up a precedent documentation of ethic business leads, reasonable and equilibriums in the disseminations. It is essential stakeholder catering to the expanded abundance works made by the firm are important to safeguard the proceedings with interest of every essential gathering in the association stakeholder framework and try to not to support one gathering under and the detriment of different gatherings. The view is a foundation for the business case for business ethics, but its inefficient on this record is the organization demonstrations ethically and have been discussed by global NGO as being one of the organizations working as a vehicle for neighbors in the Malaysia province of Sarawak. TAN has utilized business and family association accomplish fast development in a great advance without truth of the indigenous individual of Sarawak of its current conversations. TAN is connected unequally to Sarawak Chief Minister Talib and Sarawak government, which is famous for its generous exercise. Both ministries Talib is under security by the Malaysia Anti-Corporations Commissions over change of lumber's divestment. TAN Holdings claims to the situation of the main 5 logging organizations in Sarawak has been straightforward, encouraged by logging concessions and found speeds up because of the later divestments. What is inefficient, the implementation be viewed as, for example, the prejudice of being ethical by to this situation influence its capital to accomplish the objective. Furthermore, there can be overseen the assumption of the way if it fully supervised as the historical backdrop of the business against times after the time frames. From the entire of this, it follows the stakeholders theoretic and simple graphic or experiment plans can enter the which needs to make a proceeding business case for fully ethic business to the boards. Simultaneously, as a theory has both stakeholder theory has already highlighted specifically, we can see its abilities to represent connective between ethical leads and success administration aims to offer clarification for those connections such as the present, the business defense for the business ethicals at the first so ending the antiquing is clearly appealing. Thank you.
My name is Nurul Izzati binti MAHADI, matrix number 263553. I will present on ethical suggestions. For the first suggestion is, government must impose heavy penalties and high fines. Some irresponsible workers from Ta'an company had involved in deforestation and human rights abuse. Under National Forestry Act 1984, government can impose the person who get involved in illegal logging with a fine of 500,000 ringgit. Besides, government also can impose minimum imprisonment of 1 year and not exceed 20 years in order to ensure that they are not repeating the same action. Second is revoking Ta'an Holdings logging license. In order to stop logging activities that was carried out by Ta'an company, government must revoke their license. Government has right to revoke their license because all timber concessionaires have been warned by the government not to engage in any illegal logging. This is because they had signed pledge of integrity and must take responsibility for any action taken by them. Next is government need to gather all forest area, especially in Sarawak, which is one of the largest logging area, become a national park or permanent forest reserve. This is the easiest action can be taken by the government in order to reduce illegal logging. By taking this action, it shows that government is taking deforestation issue seriously because forest is one of valuable asset for the country. Lastly is increasing the numbers of forest rangers. Since the role of forest ranger is to implement and monitor forest reserve, they can help the government to monitor forest development activities and wood-based industry expansion. Other than that, forest ranger can catch any illegal logging activity and handle the person to police or government for the further action.
And for conclusion, international NGOs has named Ta'an as one of the organizations in the Malaysian state of Sarawak functioning as a vehicle for exploitation. It is impossible to conclude that as a company of Ta'an Holding, Ta'an Tasmania is just not a direct beneficiary of this fund. Ta'an has been known to be logging in peak tropical forests. Okay, for the ethical lessons, for the first thing is we must be cautious not to destroy the resources that humans will need in the future as a world community, as their rights need to be appropriately taken care of and where any group should not be violated. So we must protect indigenous people rights for their culture, for their future, and all from us.